Hi everyone, I'm Hextasy, and today we'll be playing through a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokémon Scarlet using only Pokémon that Markiplier would smash. Here's a quick list of the 72 Pokémon that Markiplier would take to Pound Town, but a good number of them won't be available to us, and to my knowledge, Markiplier never announced which of the new Pokémon introduced in this game he would smash. So even though there are some very smashable Pokemon, we can't use them. So let's see if we can win. We put on the closest thing we have to a pimp suit and head to Nemona's house to pick up our starter. Despite not being allowed to keep our starter, there still is a correct choice, and that is Quaxley for two reasons. First, it gives her Fuecoco, which will be the easiest opponent for the earlier fights, and two, it stops Clavel from having Quaquaval later in the game. This is good, not because it's a difficult to defeat opponent, but because I really hate looking at them. Our first Pokemon that we can actually use will be found in the Inlet Grotto, a Diglett, an incredibly frail Pokemon that almost died in our first battle with Arven, only surviving because Arven threw the fight. And they'll be our only encounter for the next fight too. We catch our Ralts in South Province Area 1, but won't be able to use them until the level cap is in the 30s. We have to grind Diglett up to level 12 for our second fight with Nemona, and thanks to that level and type advantage, what is normally a very pathetic Mud Slap actually does decent damage. And the accuracy drop from it also causes Fuecoco to miss an attack. They go down and her Terra boosted Palmy comes in, but it only knows Thunder Shock, so it can't hurt Diglett, and we win the fight. With her beaten, we can enter the mind-numbing A-button simulator known as School, and once that's done with, we get access to the open world where we catch a Happiny in South Province Area 2. But they'll need to be evolved into a Blissey before they can be used. And lucky for us, we can do that before the first gym leader. We venture over to the northwest section of the map to find an oval stone along with some powerful TMs, allowing us to evolve them into a Chansey, and all the running around boosted their friendship enough to evolve them into a Blissey. But between Blissey and Diglett, I'm still not confident we can beat Katie and her physically offensive team. So we enter the Teal Mask DLC, another A-button simulator. We catch a Sewaddle at Kitakami Road, who can't help us with Katie, but after destroying Carmine, we can head over to Revelers Road to catch a Vulpix, before flying all the way back to Paldea to grab a Firestone so we can evolve them into Ninetales. We then go back to Kitakami to catch more Pokemon, but immediately get stuck in another A-button simulator. After another 1000 A presses and beating Kieran in a fight, we are finally free to explore the rest of Kitakami. At the Apple Hills, we catch an Ekans, then immediately hit a roadblock in the next area as the Pokemon found there are all in the 20s. So I guess we'll pack it up and head back to Paldea to finally take on Katie, the first gym leader. But with a Ninetales on our team, it's less of a fight and more of a slaughter. Next up is our first Titan battle with Cloth, but Ninetales is able to burn them with a Will-O-Wisp before hammering away with extra sensories and digs to easily win both phases of the fight. And Ninetales isn't done annihilating the early game just yet. After catching an Oricorio in South Province Area 3, we take on the second gym leader, Brassius, and his first two Pokemon are destroyed in an instant, and we burn his Sudowoodo to break their sturdy ability and cut their attack. After that, a couple flamethrowers takes them out to win the fight, and the next challenge is the Bombardier Titan. We go for a Will-O-Wisp, which misses and we're hit by a wing attack, bringing us close to half HP. A second Will-O-Wisp also misses, and another wing attack brings Ninetales low before their Citrus Berry heals them. A third Will-O-Wisp finally lands and burns Bombardier, allowing us to survive one more wing attack, and we'll have to swap out now. It looks like Blissey is our best option, so we bring them in on a Rock Throw that takes out about a fifth of their HP. We then get hit by a pluck that brings us to half, and we land a water pulse which doesn't do too much damage. A second water pulse leaves them confused, but they power through to bring us into the red with the rock throw, but one more water pulse is enough to end this phase of the fight. Unfortunately, we don't get time to heal before the second phase with Arven's help, so Ninetales is back in and we immediately need to swap them out. We bring out Diglett, who gets killed in a single hit by Pluck. Not good, but at least Arven's Knackley is able to land a smackdown for decent damage. We bring in Oricorio next, and for the rest of this fight, Bombardier just decides to not attack us, only targeting Knackley. This is great because a 4-time super effective rock throw would be devastating, even after dropping their attack to its minimum with Feather Dance. We use Helping Hand to boost the power of Knackley's attacks, and soon enough, Bombardier goes down to win us the fight. This victory gives our Koraidon the ability to swim, so we head into the South Sea to catch ourselves a Shelder and evolve them into a Cloyster, the Pokemon that taught me everything I know about women. The level cap still isn't very high, so we take on Team Star's Glaucoma to bump it up. His Pawniard is predictably destroyed by Ninetales' Flamethrower, and his Starmobile comes in. After trading a couple blows, it hits us with a Metal Sound to cut our special defense in half, so we switch out to Oricorio on a Snarl. They then survive a Wicked Torque before landing a Feather Dance, and barely surviving another Snarl to land yet another Feather Dance. We switch to Blissey on another Snarl, who gets their special attack dropped. Not great. Our Flamethrower barely does any damage, so it's back to Ninetales on a weak Wicked Torque. We whittle down their HP a bit more before we have to switch to Cloyster, unfortunately on a Metal Sound. So just to be safe, we go back to Blissey to deal a little more damage. We then go back into Cloyster, Terrastalize into a Water type, which does absolutely nothing for us, and use Icicle Spear, hitting all 5 times thanks to their Skill Link ability. And they survive off of 1 HP. So we go back to Blissey, who still has plenty HP, and we finish them with a Flamethrower to win us the fight. With the level cap bumped up, we head back to Kitakami. We grab a Charjabug at the Wistful Fields, in my opinion, one of Markiplier's more questionable smashes. Vullaby at the Paradise Barrens, but they don't evolve until the end of the game. And we catch a Fomantis at the Kitakami Wilds. We then drop into the Timeless Woods and find the Pokemon here are over level 50. So we'll just skip this area for now before one of the aggressive Nuzleafs gets someone killed, and come back if we ever start to run low on Pokemon in the endgame. Fellhorn Gorge is next, and we catch a Ducklet. We grab a Girder at the Mossvale Confluence, and finally on Oni Mountain we catch a Hatena. Besides Charjabug, we can't use any of these Pokemon until they evolve. Speaking of which, we evolve Sewaddle all the way up into the Milf Mantis Liavani. Heading back to Paldea, there's still a couple new Pokemon we can catch. A Goomy in South Province Area 5, a Sandygast in East Province Area 2, and a Steenie in Area 1. With all these encounters out of the way, we can deal with our next few major fights. Starting with our third Nemona fight. She starts with a Rockruff while we bring out Liavani, who takes them out with a single Razor Leaf. Palmy is in next and suffers the same fate, but her Crocalore comes in, so we need to switch out. We bring in Cloyster on an Incinerate that leaves them below half HP, but now we can Terrastalize into a pure water type and go for a Razor Shell, which misses. Luckily for us, instead of attacking, they use Yawn, giving us another opportunity to use Razor Shell, this time scoring a one-hit KO to win the fight. Next is the third gym leader, Iono, and we start with Cloyster to take on her Wattrel. It outspeeds us and lands a Spark that leaves Cloyster paralyzed and they can't move. Great start. They land a second Spark to bring us close to half HP before we land an Icicle Spear for the KO, and Bellybolt is up next. We switch to Charjabug on a Spark that they easily survive, and then use Light Screen to cut special attack damage we take in half. just in time too because Belly Bolt then uses Water Gun, not doing a lot. From there we start hammering away with Bug Bites, and this is where using Light Screen may have been a mistake. With Water Gun doing less damage now, they switch back to using Spark, which gets a power boost thanks to their ability when we hit them. Because of this, we can only bring them to just below half HP before Charge-a-Bug dies. We bring Ninetales out to finish the job with a Flamethrower, and her Luxio is brought out next. Flamethrower brings them below half, but they then hit us with a Spark that leaves them paralyzed. Luckily, they were holding the Cherry Berry to instantly cure paralysis, and another Flamethrower takes them out. Her final Pokemon is her Electric-type Mismagius, and we hit them with a Will-O-Wisp to put them on a timer thanks to burn damage. They then land a Confuse Ray on us, not that it matters, since we switched to Blissey, a Pokemon that Mismagius heavily struggles to damage due to their immense special bulk. And between their burn and us hitting them with flamethrowers, it isn't long before Mismagius goes down to win us the fight. The level cap is now high enough for us to use Girder, who we evolve into a Conkeldurr through trading, and just in time for our battle against Team Star's Mela. Except we never actually use them in this fight. We just swap between Pokemon that aren't Conkeldurr until all her Torkoal can use is Flame Wheel. So we can have Ninetales max out their special attack while being immune to Torkoal's only available move, and then annihilate Mela's team. And we won't be using Conkeldurr for the next fight with the Titan Earthworm either. Once again, Ninetales blows through a fight with little difficulty. And since we're in East Area 3, we'll look for an encounter here. We are looking for a Silicobra, and that Cufant looks a little weird. So we go ahead and catch them, move them to my main account, and Wonder Trade away Johnny Sins the shiny Cufant. In return, we get a shiny Greninja with a website for a name, so we put them in jail with the rest of my website shinies. I was worried about Cufant going to an advertising account, but the trainer names aren't the same, so hopefully they found a good home. Let me know if giving away shinies I find during future runs might be something you're all interested in. Anyways, we do find that Silicobra eventually, and now we get to go to Asado Desert to catch Stonejourner. Far more questionable of a smash than Charge-a-Bug. I don't even know how I'm supposed to impregnate the Stonehenge. We also grab a Ditto at West Area 2 and evolve Steenie into a Serena, who then kills our encounter at the East Sea, which is honestly on me. I don't know why I thought a Bruxish could survive a Dropkick. Any hoodles, the 4th gym leader Kofu is next, but by terastallizing Liavani, we can just one-hit KO his entire team for an easy win. We then evolve Ekans into an Arbok and Ralts all the way up into a Gardevoir, and now we can take on Team Star's Atticus. He starts with Skuntank to take on Arbok, but Atticus is a bit of a dingus, only going for Sucker Punch and allowing us to set up 3 stockpiles to bump up our defenses before paralyzing them after they use their last Sucker Punch. A single Earthquake takes them down, and Rev of Room comes in next. They outspeed and land an Iron Head, which does solid damage and causes us to flinch. A second Iron Head also flinches us and causes us to heal up with our Citrus Berry. Rev of Room finally takes mercy on our souls and uses Bulldoze, allowing us to use Earthquake and just miss the KO. Arbok, you kinda suck, not gonna lie. And not in the suck with 2 C's type of way. They hit another Iron Head, leaving us with just 12 HP, and we thankfully don't flinch and finish them off with an Earthquake. Muck is in next, and we gotta save Arbok, so we swap to Ninetales on a Sludge Wave that does solid damage. Extrasensory doesn't do as much as I was hoping for, and a second Sludge Wave brings us low. So we bring out the man you've all been waiting for, Conkeldurr. He tanks 2 Sludge Waves before taking out Muck with an Earthquake, and all that's left is Atticus's Starmobile. Things seem bleak, but I believe in Conkeldurr. They take a Noxious Torque to the face, surviving off of 9 HP, but getting poisoned. They would die, but we gave them a Petra Berry to cure poison. And now they can fire off an Earthquake, which looks like it takes out a little over a fourth of their HP. We don't want to lose Conkeldurr, and I feel like our 3 remaining healthy Pokemon will need as much HP as possible to take this thing on. So we'll sacrifice Arbok here. And nothing of value was lost. We now bring out Stonejourner, who survives 2 super effective spin-outs while landing powerful Earthquakes. We can't survive a third, but using spin-out lowers the Starmobile's speed, and we are faster now and can finish them off with 1 more Earthquake to win the fight. We evolve Ducklet into a Swanna before taking on the 5th Gym Leader Larry. He starts with a Kamala, and we bring out the man, the myth, the legend, Conkeldurr, who is outsped and hit by a yawn before breaking Kamala's legs. The Dunsparce comes in and paralyzes us with a glare just before we miss the KO with a low sweep. Because we are now paralyzed, we can't fall asleep. So after getting drilled by the Dunsparce, we can land 1 more low sweep to take them down. His A Staraptor is up next, so we switch to Stonejourner, who takes very little damage thanks to resisting all of Staraptor's attacks and having an incredible physical bulk. A few Rock Slides takes them down to win us the fight, and right after is our 4th battle with Nemona, with no chance to switch Pokemon, though they are healed. Meaning Conkeldurr is back to tip-top shape to fight her Lycanroc, and can take them down with a single low sweep. Goomy comes in next, but an Ice Punch to the face takes care of them, and now we need to deal with Palmo. They land a Spark, and I accidentally use Ice Punch instead of Earthquake, so they barely survive and can paralyze us on the next turn, but we still take them down. All that's left is her pure Fire type Skeledirge, so we switch to Ninetales, who is immune to their only strong move, so it should be an open and shut victory for Ninetales, except they get paralyzed by Lick, and to be on the safe side, we switch out to Blissey to finish Skeledirge with a Water Pulse to win the fight. With them beaten, we can begin scaling Glaceado Mountain, looking for our next encounter, Magneton. And this is the smash that vexes me the most. I'm trying to think of how this works, and the only answers I can come up with all sound very painful. Once we reach Montevera, we can evolve Silicobra into a Sandaconda, and can take on the 6th Gym Leader, Rhyme. This is a double battle, and we start with Stonejourner and Conkeldurr against her Mimikyu and Banette. Mimikyu hits Stonejourner with a Shadow Sneak for little damage, and they retaliate with a Rock Slide, breaking Mimikyu's disguise ability and flinching Banette, allowing Conkeldurr to land their own Rock Slide to take out Banette. Houndstone is in next, and the crowd gives our Pokemon a boost to their attack. Mimikyu hits Conkeldurr with a Slash, and then it goes down to a Rock Slide from Stonejourner. Houndstone then hits Conkeldurr with a Play Rough that brings them to half HP, and then they miss their Rock Slide. Her Ghost-type Toxtricity comes in, so we switch out Conkeldurr for Sandaconda, and we Terrastalize Stonejourner. Toxtricity uses Discharge, not affecting Sandaconda, and nearly killing both Stonejourner and their teammate Houndstone. We land a Rock Slide to finish off Houndstone and leave Toxtricity low. We swap Stonejourner out for Liavani, and Sandaconda finishes the job with a brutal swing to win us the fight. With her beaten, we can go catch another batch of Pokemon. At North Province Area 3, we nab a Lilligant. At Area 2, we get a Floette. And at Area 1, we should be able to find a Vespiquen, but despite every source saying Vespiquen can be found here, for the life of me I couldn't find one, so we'll just move on. Back at South Province Area 4, we find a Toxel. In the cave below Alfrenata, we find a female Salandit after finding 50 bajillion males, then find a Salazzle right after, thanks for wasting my time. And on top of the plateau, we find a Sinistea. We then evolve all of the Pokemon we can, ending up with just Floette left, who needs a Shiny Stone to evolve. Luckily, there's one at the top of the plateau, and on the way up, we come across a wild Vespiquen. I could have gotten this, but I'm stuck with a cup of tea. Well, we get the shiny stone, evolve them, and now we need to take on Nemona for the second to last time. Once again, it's a fight between Lycanroc and Conkeldurr, and once again, it ends with Lycanroc immediately getting their legs broken, but not before landing a sand attack to drop our accuracy. Sliggoo is in next, and after it lands a Dragon Pulse, we miss our Ice Punch, so we need to tank one more before we land our Ice Punch for the KO. Palmot comes in, and their Spark removes about half of our remaining HP, but then our Earthquake removes all of their HP. All that's left is her Skeledirge, and we once again switch to Ninetales to handle them, and we don't get paralyzed this time, so it's an easy win. Afterwards, we take on Tulip, the 7th gym leader. She starts with a Farigiraf while we bring out Liavani, who scores a one-hit KO with an X-Scissor. Gardevoir comes in next, and they survive a Shadow Claw and hit us close to half HP with a Psychic, but another X-Scissor takes them out, and Espathra is sent in, only to be outsped and beaten with a single X-Scissor. All she has left is her Psychic-type Florges, and just like her previous Pokemon, it goes down to a single X-Scissor to win us the fight. Afterwards, we're fighting the Great Tusk Titan, and it's just as easy. We spam Trop Kick with Serena for big damage, while dropping their attack, and the fight is quickly over. Right after that, we are fighting the final gym leader, Grusha. His Frostmoth and Beartic both go down to a single flamethrower from Ninetales, but Titan survives and hits us hard with a liquidation, but another flamethrower ends them. All that's left is his Ice-type Altaria, so we swap out to Magneton, who resists all of Altaria's moves, and a few flash cannons takes them out to win us the fight. We've got back-to-back Team Star bases next, starting with the Fairy base and their leader Ortega. He starts with an Azumarill while we bring out Lurantis, and Azumarill outspeeds us to land a powerful bounce that brings us low and paralyzes us. But Lurantis powers through and lands a Leaf Blade for the one-hit KO. Wigglytuff comes in next, so we switch to Magneton on a Body Slam, then land a one-hit KO with a critical hit Flash Cannon. Darkspun is up next, and we Terrastalize into a pure Steel type, lessening the damage from the incoming Mud Slap before we get a third one-hit KO. His Starmobile comes in, and it doesn't get taken down by a single attack, instead requiring 2 attacks for us to win the fight. Aerie and her fighting squad is next, and we send out Gardevoir to take on her Toxicroak, and we outspeed them to take him down with a Psychic. Annihilate comes in, and we Terrastalize into a pure Fairy type, allowing us to survive a Rage Fist before sending them to the Shadow Realm with a Moonblast. Passimian comes in, and we start to use Charm to cut their attack, and once it's minimized, we switch to Conkeldurr, who bangs out 6 Bulk Ups before annihilating most of her team, just failing to take down her Starmobile, which paralyzes us and we're unable to move, not once, not twice, not thrice, but force. Somehow, Conkeldurr isn't put 6 feet under in all this time, and we can land a low sweep for the win. Now, we need to take on the final Titan, and we bring out Florges to handle them. And they can't. They are getting bodied, body slammed, and suffering that 10% confused chance from Water Pulse. Before they die, we switch to Conkeldurr, who we have pre-damaged and pre-paralyzed for some reason. Probably just to make this a fair fight for Dondozo, but not fair enough because they get sent packing by a low sweep. Phase 2 of the fight starts, and we bring out Magneton and begin spamming Discharge, for the sole purpose of frying Arven's rat. Once again, for a fair fight, and not because I forgot to teach them Thunderbolt and didn't bring Grass types because we thought Magneton could handle things. Dondozo, however, does not take kindly to us handicapping ourselves for them and murders Magneton with an Aqua Tail. So Conkeldurr comes in, no longer paralyzed, and slaps Dondozo into an early grave. For the final phase of the fight, we have Florges out first, and we can just terrestrialize them and hammer away with Moonblasts for an easy win. With all gym leaders, star bases, and titans beaten, it's time to take on the Elite Four, starting with Rika. She starts with a Whiscash, and we bring out Palisand, who gets hit hard by a Muddy Water and losing some accuracy, but their Water Compaction ability activates, boosting their defense, just what we needed for the rest of this fight. We land a Giga Drain for the one-hit KO, and restoring most of our HP. Dugtrio comes in next and uses Sandstorm, which causes Dugtrio's evasion to rise thanks to their Sand Veil ability. So while we miss a million attacks in a row, let me just say, I think Markiplier may have pissed someone off. They tell him to pound sand, and he took it as a challenge, because this might be one of the most painful Pokemon to smash that I can think of. We eventually land a Giga Drain for the KO. Camerupt and Donphan both get destroyed easily, and we struggle a little more with her Clodsire, getting badly poisoned, and while Palisand could probably take it on its own, I'd rather not risk it, and we switch to Serena to finish the job. Next up is Poppy, and we'll be starting with Palisand once again. We take out her Copperajah with a single Earth Power. Corviknight is up next, and they begin to spam out some Iron defenses, which is pointless on two fronts in this case. 1. We're immune to the body press that Iron defense boosts, and 2. It doesn't give them any more survivability against our Shadow Ball, and they quickly go down. Bronzong doesn't fare any better, but Magneton is able to set up a light screen and survive an Earth Power thanks to their sturdy ability. This lets them land a Flash Cannon to bring us below half HP before they get taken down, and her Pure Steel Tinkaton comes in and lands a Gigaton Hammer to kill Palisand. It's hard to decide what to bring in here since Tinkaton threatens everything with big damage, but we decide to bring in Conkeldurr. We terrestrialize them, and if they survive a play rough, we should deal big damage with the low sweep. And, oh, they just use Stone Edge. 24 damage off of a crit. And our low sweep takes them down to win the fight. Great job, Poppy. Larry is next, and we start with Cloyster, using Shell Smash while his Tropius starts charging up a Solar Beam. But it will never get to fire it off because an Icicle Spear not only takes them out, but all of Larry's Pokemon as well. Hassel is up next, and it's his Noivern against our Swanna. Don't ask how, but after losing half our HP to Super Fang, we miss input, probably because I was playing this at some ungodly hour of the night, and use Feather Dance. Entirely pointless here. But luckily, we're able to survive a Dragon Pulse and use the Ice Beam that we were meant to, and it beats Noivern. Dragalge comes in next, so we switch to Sandaconda to block an incoming Thunderbolt, then outspeed and take them down with an Earthquake. Flapple is in, and we swap to Oricorio on a Seed Bomb, not taking a lot of damage, even with it being a critical hit. A couple Acrobatics takes them out, and Haxorus comes in. We get outsped and destroyed by a Rock Tomb, so we bring out Swanna, who outspeeds Haxorus to land a Feather Dance and drop their attack before also going down to a Rock Tomb. Sandaconda is brought back out, and after paralyzing Haxorus with a Glare, we're free to set up a half dozen coils before taking out Hassel's remaining two Pokemon with a single Earthquake each. Miss Utterly Incapable is up next, starting with an Espathra against Mommy Mantis, and we once again miss input and use Slash instead of X-Scissor. But it doesn't matter because after being hit by Lumina Crash, we land an X-Scissor for the KO. King Gambit comes in, so we switch to Conkeldurr on a Stone Edge, and after being hit hard by a Zen Headbutt, we take them down with a Low Sweep. Go-Go is in next, so we swap out to Gardevoir as they use Bulk Up, and then we start hitting them with Charms to drop their attack to its bare minimum. We then swap to Cloyster, set up a couple Shell Smashes, and it's game over for Geeta at that point. We are taking on Clavel next, and we bring out Liavani, going for a one-hit KO X-Scissor against his opening Oranguru, but we don't get the KO and we're hit by a yawn. We swatch to Toxtricity so we don't fall asleep and get hit hard by a foul play before taking out Oranguru with an overdrive. Gyarados is up next, and we unfortunately get outsped and destroyed by an earthquake. Whoops. Liavani is back in, and we terrastalize into a pure grass type before landing a critical hit Leaf Blade for the one-hit KO. Abomasnow comes in next, so we swap to Salazzle as they use Aurora Veil to cut our damage, but it doesn't cut enough damage to stop them from being absolutely destroyed by a flamethrower. Polteageist is out next, but after we land a couple flamethrowers to bring them to half HP, they are able to set up a Shell Smash and kill Salazzle with a Shadow Ball. Luckily the snow ends this turn and so does their Aurora Veil, so we bring out Mandibuzz, and after being burned by Will-O-Wisp, we score the takedown with a Dark Pulse. Houndoom is up next, and we can only land one Air Slash before dying to Fire Blast, and we bring out Conkeldurr. We're outsped and hit hard by a Fire Blast, but we then take them down with a low sweep and his Ace Meowscarada is in. Rather than lose Conkeldurr, we swap to Gardevoir and watch them get eviscerated by Shadow Claw. But that allows us to bring in Liavani, who survives a play rough and takes them down with an X-Scissor to win the fight. To finish the Team Star storyline, we enter the school, get stuck in an Indigo Disc A-Button simulator, and fight Penny. Sleep deprivation has been making my plays in these last few battles sloppy, but Penny is such an easy fight that we still easily beat her with a single Pokemon in Lilligant. After a nap, we're ready to finish the game. Starting with Arven. He starts with a Greedent while we bring out Liavani, who hits them with 3 charms to minimize their attack, then swap to Cloyster on a Body Slam that does so little damage that our leftovers fully heals us. We did this so Greedent would use Bullet Seed and we can safely switch to Lilligant and get a substitute up. But they use Body Slam instead and paralyze Lilligant, potentially ruining our strategies. But we decide to power through. Substitute goes up, and we slowly get up 6 Quiver Dances, maximizing our speed and special stats. And then we switch out to Conkeldurr. You see, while we were setting up, we got Greedent to use all of their PP and Body Slam, meaning it can't get a lucky Paralyze off now. And rather than risking Lilligant being unable to move during a critical moment, I'd rather just set up with a different Pokemon. We get 6 Bulk Ups off, 1-hit KO Greedent with a low sweep, Scovillain is in next, but it hits us hard with Fire Blast before going down to low sweep. Toedscruel is in, but it gets outsped and hit by Ice Punch. Garganacl is destroyed before it can move. Cloyster uses its 1 turn to set up a light screen, entirely pointless. And his Mabostiff's play rough isn't nearly enough to take us out, and we win the fight with 1 more low sweep. Our final fight with Nemona is up next, and if you thought we played a lot of our recent battles like a weenie by setup sweeping, then I'm hopping in the bun because I'm going full weenie here. We start with Liavani against her Lycanroc, and because they start by using Stealth Rock, we're able to get up all 3 charms to minimize their attack, then swap out to Lilligant and use Substitute, get 6 Quiver Dances off, then heal back all the HP we lost with a single Giga Drain. Goodra is in next, and it survives the Terra Blast thanks to its immense special bulk, and it breaks our Substitute with a Nice Beam. But we can just set up another and take them out next turn with a Giga Drain. Oh, they're immune. We set up 1 more Substitute and take them out with a Terra Blast. Palma is in and breaks the Substitute with a Quick Attack, but then gets destroyed by a Giga Drain. The Dunsparce and Orthworm go down easily, and all that's left is her Skeledirge. Thanks to her terastalizing into a pure Fire type, our normal type Terra Blast can now land and score a 1-hit KO to win the fight. We parkour our way through Area 0, and all that's left is to fight Professor Seda for the last battle of the run. We start with Ninetales against her Slitherwing, and we outspeed and land a Flamethrower to bring them below half HP. But we're hit by a low sweep, cutting our speed. They're faster now and hit a Zen Headbutt, causing a flinch. And luckily, despite supposedly being a hyper-intelligent AI, they go for a leech life, which we survive, and we can just finish them off with one more flamethrower. Brute Bonnet comes in, and knowing they'll go for a Sucker Punch, we use Nasty Plot to double our special attack. We predict a second Sucker Punch, but Seda actually gets the jump on us this time and kills Ninetales with an Earth Power. Liavani comes in and avenges them with an X-Scissor, and now we need to deal with Fluttermane. We swap to Blissey on a Mystical Fire, hardly hurting us, but dropping our special attack. After we set up a light screen, we can just whittle down their HP with Psychics and Flamethrowers until they go down. Screamtail is up next, and their Drain Punch does quite a bit of damage, but we then land a Flamethrower that leaves them with a burn, cutting their attack. This lets us survive the next Drain Punch, and we can set up a Soft Boil to heal ourselves. We get into an extended fight where we both struggle to outdamage the other's healings, and I eventually just call it quits and switch to Liavani, who takes them out with a couple Shadow Claws. Sandy Shocks comes in, and they barely survive a Leaf Blade and retaliate with a Power Gem, but Liavani also survives and takes them down on the next turn. All that's left is Roaring Moon, who outspeeds Liavani to kill them with a Stone Edge. So we bring out the boy Conkeldurr, Dragonclaw takes out less than half their HP, and in turn we use Close Combat to destroy Roaring Moon to win us the fight and the run. A lot of the Pokemon Markiplier wanted to smash are absolutely baffling to me. So join us next time when we beat Pokemon Scarlet using only Pokemon that I would smash. Nah, I'm kidding. My mom watches these, I wouldn't do that. I'll save it for 1,000 subs or something crazy. Anyways, I've been Hextasy, and thanks for watching.